So if you hang out with very high performing, rich, like movers, let's say out of 5 people, there are 4 people that are more successful than you. You are going to become more successful because you hang out with those people, right? But this idea, and this really came from talking to my husband about him wanting to make more friends. And he's got, he does the same thing. It's this laundry list of things that he wants, right? He wants somebody who's a good father. He wants somebody who's a good husband. He wants somebody who's athletic. He wants somebody who has good business sense. And while, yes, it's amazing to have that expander that hits every single one of those things, it's not exactly likely for a lot of it. So what I've kind of zoomed out with...
Welcome to Permission to Be, where the messy middle finally gets a microphone.
Because let's be honest, life is not a highlight reel.
Here, we laugh at the absurd stuff, cry at the real stuff,
and talk about what it actually takes to find your way back to yourself.
I was just telling Shannon, it is noon here in Colorado, and I desire a cocktail.
And if you're not on the video, I am full on laughing.
I'm not having a bad day. I just have a lot going on.
Yep.
And I know that is not necessarily the healthiest way, but it sure sounds good.
So hold on to your lily white butts, because Spicy Jane is here. Welcome to Permission to Be.
Welcome.
Today, it's going to be a little bit permission to be spicy, I think.
I like
coming
that.
from Jane. I'm Shannon.
I'm Jane.
And today we're actually talking about the topic of adult friendships.
Everybody needs one. Just someone that gets you, right? Like Shannon called, she goes, "How's it going?" I was like, I'm like a twitchy eye. I got so much going on and I'm happy, but I'm a little overwhelmed over here. And she just laughs. She's not even like, how can I support
not
you?
Not even with, really, just at. Yeah.
No, because it's also self-inflicted.
Yes. And I pointed out to her, she called me earlier today and she said, "I don't think I've ever been busier." And I was like, "I'm pretty sure you've been saying that for a year now."
True. But I think I'm now quantifying the busy last year was not actually moving the needle forward.
Yeah.
The way I am now.
I feel that.
Thank you. See, I feel seen, everyone.
Why is adult friendship? So I think everybody can kind of agree. Making friends as adults, if they're not your friends from childhood,
yes,
is really freaking hard.
But even my friends from childhood, I have nothing in common with at this point.
Yeah, I actually don't have any friends that I'm like regularly speaking to.
Yeah, nor am I. I have had a couple of interactions with all of them and they've been lovely. And I'm just different at the moment. And what they're experiencing is not what I'm experiencing. And that's okay. Permission to say thank you. I love you. It was wonderful. And I'm going to keep moving in a different direction.
I think I heard, and I can't remember the exact statistic. It was on a Mel Robbins podcast, but this woman was talking about that as adults, we change our friend group every 7 to 8 years. I think.
I heard that. Can we just take a pause? You're never allowed to leave me.
No.
Because we're going on, almost 14 years.
Yeah.
So we're going strong.
Yeah, 14 years.
Yeah.
And we're actually stronger than ever.
Yeah, we'll get into that as to how you can actually strengthen relationships.
It's called counseling. We do a lot of talking about our feelings.
We do. We've actually never gone to counseling together, but we've been working on ourselves. And then we come back to calls or get-togethers and discuss what we have learned and how can we also grow together.
Ad nauseum.
Don't say it like it's a bad thing.
I'm not. It's just hilarious. So I do have to share this one thing because my husband listens to the podcast every single week. And he's so funny because he's like, it's just kind of funny that I listen to the podcast because it's the same thing that I hear from you all the time. And it's the same thing that I hear you and Jane talking about all the time. And he's like,
connection.
And yet I still want to listen to it.
See, at least your husband's listening. My husband, he goes, so I already hear this stuff. Why do I need to listen to the podcast?
Called Support Seth.
I go, it helps with ratings. It helps with view counts. It just helps.
Put it on. Don't listen to it. Rate it. Review. Don't care. It's called Support Seth.
He has listened, I think, to 3 of the 6 that have come out. So he's batting 50%. I thought you actually had your middle finger raised when you were itching.
Close. If I didn't have to rate it as explicit.
My family has not listened yet. I don't even think they know what a podcast is at this point.
Wait, there's nobody in 2025 that doesn't know what a podcast is.
My mom and dad don't.
Huh?
I know. We are so off the rails with this conversation.
It doesn't matter.
No, going back to friendship, it is vital that you have someone that you can call at any hour of the day and they're going to pick up. Like I have my do not disturb on my phone and you get to bypass that.
And I do.
Yeah, there have been a few times where I'm like, I actually have to put on the airplane mode because
if it pops up, do not disturb. If there's the notify anyway, I will be clicking the notify anyway.
I was in church and she called and I go to a very big church, like 3,000 people, and my phone was the one that was ringing. I was like, airplane mode that crap.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's the only way you're keeping me out.
So how do we create adult friendships that last?
Well, I think one thing for a long time, I think not being able to make really, really close adult friendships made me feel like there was something wrong with me.
Yes.
And there were a few things that I know that you and I have learned over the course of the past few years that has really helped us figure out, one, how you find your people, and then two, that as you evolve and as your friends evolve, that like it's okay, right? One of my favorite examples I've ever heard about relationships is the idea of the tree, right? So like you
I don't know
have
this.
the people in your life that are leaves.
Okay.
They provide shade, they provide coolness in summer.
We're talking about everybody?
Yeah, everybody has leaves, right? Like you have
Okay.
these relationships in your life that come in and they last for a season. And they're there, they provide support, they provide shade, they make things a little bit better. But then when the winds change, when the temperature changes,
The seasons.
the leaves fall off and they blow away, right?
I love this metaphor.
Then you have the branches.
Oh, we're
And the
further-
branches stay around for a much longer time, right? No, you're not my branch. Let me finish. So there are branches, but there are branches that if you apply too much weight to that branch, it will break,
I'm not a branch. I'm
right? You're not a branch. And so there are those people in our lives who are around for a long time. And these might be the people who are your childhood friendships.
Okay.
That you guys grew up together and you created all these memories. And so like they're a decent sized branch, but then a big storm comes along or too much weight is put on that branch and it breaks and it's no longer a part of the tree. And those can be the ones that are really, really hard to deal with because you assumed that that person would always be around. But again, they're a branch. And then you have your roots. And your roots are the ones that run really, really deep. And it doesn't matter what the seasons do. They're the things that keep you rooted, that keep you upright. Like the good days, the bad days, the cold days, the hot days, the windy days, whatever it is, they stay, right?
Didn't we miss the trunk?
It's not in the example. Thanks for pointing that out.
Well, I mean, I'm visualizing. I got the leaf. I got the branch.
Well, I think that the trunk is like the trunk
roots?
and the roots are like a part
Okay.
of the system, right? So like the trunk is like the extension of it, right? Because if you
Shannon
cut
is
down the
so
trunk,
annoyed.
I'm like, shut the
Spicy
just-
Jane.
Yeah.
She's here today.
lobbed it up, threw it in my face. Okay. So there are the roots. And I think one of the most important things for people to realize is that for the average person, it's not a realistic expectation to have more than a couple of roots in your life, right? And especially like I grew up having a lot of trust issues. I grew up, with a lot of trauma around getting close to people and then having them leave, not knowing this example, right? That they were the leaves or perhaps they were a branch. And in my mind, everybody was like a root, right? Everybody, once I became friends with somebody, they were going to be around forever. But that's not realistic. It's not realistic.
I'm very quick to adore people. I always want to find like the beauty in them. And I believe, and Seth has brought it to my attention, that I give too much love too quickly. And then I become maybe a branch for them, or they think I might be a root, and vice versa. And he said, you don't mean any ill will towards it. And he goes, you love to love people. And he goes, but your capacity to love everyone at that level is not realistic.
Mm-hmm.
And so to go along with your analogy of the tree, I learned this at the end of last year, which was at the end of the year, write a list of all the people that are near and dear to your heart. Can you say unequivocally that you loved every single person wholeheartedly, 100%, you gave it their all? Or do you think that there could have been more room for love? And if the answer is no, I could have done more, then instead of bringing in new relationships into your life and giving more of yourself to others, first pour more love into those who are part of that root system, because you will eventually burn out, right? And I called you right before New Year's Eve saying, if it wasn't for us linking arms and joining a business together, I don't know if this would have brought us this close to become root systems, because it's not just self-development and friendship because we live in different states. It's it's children, it's money, it's house, it's spouses, it's triggers. And how can you pour more love into one another before you pour love into someone else?
So let me just on record, so in 2026, you're pouring more love into me.
Yes.
Sweet. Just wanted to be on the
Yes.
same
There
page
are
there.
times when Shannon won't answer, and I have a location tracker that we both accepted on our phones. And so
She
I will
does.
click on her name. I will then click on the location of Shannon. And if she is not at her house, I will then figure out what is she doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then she'll send me screenshots of the location.
What are you doing? There are
Or I'll
times
pick
when
up my phone and there's like 7 text messages and they're all memes of like, what are you doing? Hello, I need love.
because I also know that Shannon's love language are memes. And so
They
I will
really
give her
are.
a full dialogue without any words, just the memes. But also when I know that she's, let's say, with her mother and they're having coffee, or if she's driving somewhere, I also know now's not the time to interrupt. And so I don't say everyone should have their locations on, but this is the type of trust that she and I have built specifically in the last 3 years out of a 14-year friendship of I trust Shannon implicitly, and I hope this is where you're going to then say yes or no. You trust me implicitly back.
No, yes. My husband doesn't even have my location. Not that I hide it from him. I don't hide it from him. He just doesn't care. And I don't have his.
My husband and I, we have each other's.
No, I don't know. But I mean, my husband and I, like, we don't wear wedding rings. We are very married. We're very happy.
I have to tell you guys this. So my husband and I, total side tangent, but we got into a really good fight, like award-winning, dramatic, like just there's so much passion about where each of our, like our positions are in this argument. And all of a sudden he just leaves. And I followed him on his phone. And he goes way, like 2 miles away. And he's just doing a loop around the park.
You're like, he's angry pacing.
But it's like, he didn't tell me where he was going. But it's like, buddy, I know you are. I was really proud of myself because I was like, I don't have to worry. He didn't get a hotel room and check out. He's just taking a breather.
He's walking back, you can figure out your plan of attack as he's getting closer and closer. Now I'm going to look busy.
Maybe if he listens to this episode, he'll learn. We got a 50-50 chance episode 7 is in his repertoire.
There's a little Easter egg for you, Seth. See if you listen and support us.
I told Shannon I wanted to have the podcast be humorous today. She's nailing it.
Yeah. No, one of my favorite pastimes is trolling her husband.
It's true.
Truly.
It's true. I think he's probably batting a 75%. He's cool with the fact that we talk a duration of hours.
All the time.
Yeah, all the time. But there is that 25% where he'll see you call and he'll look at me with judge eyes thinking, are you going to pick it up? Am I more important in this conversation than Shan? And I was like, let me just tell her I'll call right back. And he's like, oh my gosh. And I do. But that goes back to the friendship, right? Wouldn't it be beautiful to have a friendship that they will answer when you call?
Okay. Yep. All right. So yeah, we introduced the idea of like your root. So I have probably 3 roots in my life, right? I have you, I have my husband, I have my mom. Those are like my key root system, right?
Wait, that's mine.
Sweet.
My mom, my husband, and you.
I told her at the beginning of this podcast that I would make her laugh, so I got to
She's
deliver.
nailing it.
I got to deliver.
I got the tears now coming.
No, it's good. Everybody else is listening, being like, "Why? I don't think this is that funny."
I'm logging off now. This
Yeah.
is not fun.
It's not for you. No, so it is the idea of like, first and foremost, getting very, very clear that you will have tons of leaves in your life. People that come in, they stay for a season, then they're gone. The branches that have been around for a long time, you put too much weight, something big changes, there's a storm in your life or theirs, they're gone. And then there are your roots, right? And I think we like to look at every relationship like this is going to be a root, but it's not realistic, right? Like, and even you and I, it took a long time to get to the stage of root. But I would also say that one of the most important parts, because we do have to put effort. I read a study recently that was saying that loneliness increases your premature death rate by 30%, equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
I believe it, especially because social media, I feel, has actually enhanced and propelled forward the loneliness.
Absolutely.
And I know this isn't new, right? Like I have not come up with this and they're like, oh, wow, Jane, like great epiphany. It's like, No, it's scientifically proven. So Seth and I in 2020 into 2019, we moved to Colorado and then COVID hit. And we were very isolated. And everyone says, "Oh, wait till your kids get older and they start to go to school and you're going to find your people." I found one person that I really resonated with. Like she's funny, she's got dry humor like you do, and so I was like, this is wonderful to interact with. But it was like I found one. No, she's fantastic, but then on the flip side is, did my husband find anyone as well? And, we're a specific type of person to like. We're very health focused. We're very conscientious of how we speak, the words that we choose. We also are religious, right? And so you're like, I got all these things, these criterias, and I don't match with a lot of people. And instead of being lonely, I have a root system, which is I have Shannon, I have my mom, and I have my husband. Now, I'm not saying that that's healthy or unhealthy, but what I am saying is that I at least have people to fall on and lean on and say, I'm a little sad today. I wish that there was more interactions with people. Or am I just grateful that I have those people in my life because that's really maybe all I need at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point. My husband and I actually had a recent conversation because he doesn't necessarily have what you and I have is pretty rare, I think, of the amount that we talk. Like, I think for a lot of people, long distance friendship kind of clips it, right? It makes it, and especially like, and I think that this is the reality of adult friendships. I remember reading somewhere that they were talking about, friendships as a kid is so much easier because it's the people in your neighborhood. It's the people you go to school with. So it's proximity.
Right. You're engaging with them on a daily occurrence.
On a daily basis. And then, you might have some close friends that are neighbors or like, I have a dear friend, but it's mainly, I will say it, like, because we live in the same neighborhood, our kids are the same age, we have the same interests. But like if she were to move an hour away, it would get much harder.
Yeah.
Right? Because proximity is so important. And that is why a lot of adult friendships become so difficult. Because as parents, as spouses, as partners, so much of your time is already taken that it takes somebody that you're like, okay, this person's really special for me to want to put time and effort
100%.
into them.
I don't know about you though, because small talk is always very difficult, but I've also learned from Vanessa, and I'm forgetting her name. She's an amazing public figure that talks a lot about body language and using your hands and how you speak. And she was saying, which I found really compelling, was you do have to have some of the small talk in order to get to the interesting conversations. And so you and I were always like, we hate small talk. We're not doing it, right? Like, you're out. But she was saying, no, it's okay to like have that be like a leadway, a gateway into the more interesting conversations. And I've become very vocal in these are the kind of things I would like to talk about that I'm interested in, whether I want to learn more or this is just a hobby that I'm very passionate about. And if those people don't resonate or have no interest in it, there's no shame or guilt on it. They're just not the person that I'm willing to even invest in at this point, because even having leaves in my life takes effort. And I don't have a lot of time to even give, right? Like I still would like to put more time into you and I going on trips and putting more effort there and spending more time going on dates with my husband. So am I going to invest time learning and getting to know someone if we don't even have those same hobbies or interests when time is such a precious commodity?
I think for me, the deciding factor is more or less, you and I talk about the idea of expanders a lot. So for those of you who don't know what I mean when I say expander, it's somebody who expands the ideas or the possibilities that you think are available to you in your life, right? So
also known as like, well, hold on really quick. So an expander could be you're going to surround yourself with 5 people that are going to encourage you and raise you to a different level, a different standard, to become even more of who that person that you've always desired to be. An expander can be within those 5 that sees you and adores you and then also paints you this picture that Shannon's going to talk about the expansion of your life.
And so, yes, the Jim Rohn said you're the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, right? Which is 100% true, been proven a bunch of times. And we know the truth of like, if you don't like what your life looks like, take a look at the people that you hang out with the most, because you really are an equivalent sum of them, right? So if you hang out with very high performing, rich, like movers, let's say out of 5 people, there are 4 people that are more successful than you. you are going to become more successful because you hang out with those people, right? But this idea, and this really came from talking to my husband about him wanting to make more friends. And he's got, he does the same thing. It's this laundry list of things that he wants, right? He wants somebody who's a good father. He wants somebody who's a good husband. He wants somebody who's athletic. He wants somebody who has good business sense. And while, yes, it's amazing to have that expander that hits every single one of those things, it's not exactly likely for a lot of it. So what I've kind of zoomed out with, and these may not be people that I spend a ton of time and effort on as far as, trying to make them into a branch or whatever. I call these people bridge expanders. So the bridge expanders is like they take you, so it's not the full expander. The full expander is that person that has all of them, right? Like they are the person that you're like, that's my higher self. That's who I want to be. The bridge expander is the person who, let's say that they're like, for you, Jane, let's say that like they're a really successful homeschooling parent and they found like a rhythm and a curriculum that they absolutely love. You guys don't agree on everything. Maybe they're not religious. Maybe their marriage is not the most wonderful thing in the world, but there are things that you can learn from them about homeschooling that would expand that portion of your life.
Bridge expander.
A bridge expander. And I think that right now, because we are so focused on like, I want the roots, I want the roots, I want the roots, that what you don't, a lot of times I think myself included of what we miss is that there are these bridge expanders that might get you closer to the person that meets your root, right? Because you're like, you and the person who becomes your root might not be in the same space right now. And it might take you changing, and it might take you, like my husband, I was encouraging him to go join an adult soccer league because I'm like, you love mountain biking, but guess what? You don't meet people there. And I was like, so when you go to soccer, guess what? You're going to be around people that like athletics is important, right? So there is a bridge. They're going to get you moving. They're going to get you that. And then you might meet somebody who's athletic and a good dad. And then that's closer. So this idea of like bridge expanders,
love it,
that will get you closer to finding the people who then do become at least branches, if not maybe roots.
I think it's great. I think it also goes back to the people that you desire as the roots or investing in the bridge expanders. We talk a lot about this with our team and our businesses is being in action though, right? You can't just hope that they're going to invite you. When I was on an event, they asked the question, like, how many of you would like to have more intimacy with your spouse or your partner? And we all raise your hand. And I've talked about this before. They're like, and how many of you are initiating it? And not many, if any, raise their hands. And you're like, so you want it, or you desire it, but you're not actually willing to go out and be the instigator of it. And I think that goes back to also friendships, right? Are you willing to put in the effort first because you see them as a bridge expander? You see them as a root. You see them as someone that you desire to be around more often. I would venture to say that most adults, everybody just wants to be invited to a party. I'm not talking about an actual party. They just want to be invited. What's stopping you from being the first person to go first?
And I'll even challenge it further
Ooh.
Of that when you show up, do you actually show up as you? Because that is one of the biggest things that you and I have both found.
And grown into.
Yeah. Definitely grew into. We have grown into loving ourselves and trusting that I can show up as me and that it's okay if somebody doesn't like me. Right. And I think that was, I know we talked about in a previous episode that I came up to the realization that like, I don't like 80% of people. So why do I expect 80% of people to like me? But truthfully, I did. I went into I went into an event and it was like, oh my God, everybody has to like me. Oh, that girl doesn't like me. Oh, I need to shrink. I need to change because I have to get an approval rate of 95%.
Right. There's a book, I don't remember who wrote it, but it's called The Art of Being Disliked.
It's
phenomenal because it goes back to what you said. There has to be balance. You're going to have the people that adore you, but the balance is that they're going to be the people that don't.
And not only that, and it was a tough pill to swallow that, because I'd met people, they ended up being leaves. I thought that they were more, and then they would blow away. And I mean,
it can be crushing.
It's crushing, right? And it's really hard not to take it personally. But what I also realized is that I had started those friendships based on a different version of me. And so when the more emotional, bigger, spunkier side came out, they were like, who the heck is this person?
Right.
They didn't sign up for that. And so
but thank
goodness
you
own it.
Filtered that out faster than putting in the time and energy for years down the road.
These did go for years, probably. No, it was, yeah, no, not proud of it, but yeah. But the idea is that your people can't find you until you're actually you. Like you walk into a room and you mask yourself. Let's say that you like romance, like
I was
Jane
just
and
about
me,
to say, I
right?
had such judgy eyes when I say it.
Yep.
And I own it. I own it.
But let's assume that you walk into a party
Mhm, mhm.
and people are talking about nonfiction World War II stuff.
My husband would be sign me up for this
No,
conversation.
he totally would. And you're like, oh my gosh, I love that. They're like, sweet, we have something in common. You don't actually have something in common, but you're desperate to find a connection. So you falsify things about yourself to get more approval. But then all of a sudden, you don't actually have a genuine connection. You have a forced connection. And I think that we do that more times than not in adult friendships, right? Like you go to a play date with your kid, with like another kid's parents, right? And they're like, oh, what book are you reading? And I'm like, shoot.
Well, no, but so I love this because we went to a New Year's Eve party early. Or no, we didn't go to we went to a holiday party. And a girl came up who was visiting, who flew into town for the party. And she says, so what do you love to read? And I said, I love to read romance. And you could see the disdain energy just coming off of her body. But here's what I loved. I looked at her and I said, I can feel that we are not on the same page. She goes, I do not. And I go, we can either find other things. But I said, there's also a lot of other people in this party. And I said, permission to walk away. And she looked at me like, what?
We're not just going to fake this?
No, not going to fake it.
It's like faking an orgasm.
I had champagne. I had my husband. I had another girlfriend who loves to read romance. And I was like, it's all okay. It's all okay. Right?
But since you and I have started actually showing up as ourselves, right? We have found those connections, not roots,
No.
but we have found those connections of like, okay, these people genuinely like me.
Yeah.
They know me. And so I would argue that I have more branches now because I'm not basing them off of the version of me that I think this person wants.
Right. And I'm also hoping that in 2020's love that we put into our friendship will have enough, right? Like the bank of it will be so fulfilling that we will be able to stretch out into those branches and cultivate more love and more care and more adoration for them, with the notion that maybe they also could be a part of the root system. I remember Jane Fonda said, very clearly, like, girlfriends are everything. Gosh, she's right. Shannon and I came to this epiphany that I believe this, that there are soulmates that you can have with a partner where there's intimacy, and then there is your girlfriend soulmate. And I don't have to fake it with Shannon about anything, right? She's going to see me with makeup. She's going to see me without. She's going to see me with a bra on. She's going to see me without. She's going to see me angry. She's going to see me happy. She's going to see me, snobby. She's going to see me with tons and tons of tears. And it's all great because she's not going to look away. So Jane Fonda said it best, soulmate sisters are imperative, I think, to our health.
Well, this is great because you and I coined it dead body sisters.
We did. We're going to post a reel because Shannon and I made one when she came to Colorado to visit, which was Shannon could hurt someone and I will not ask a question. I will actually be more concerned of, is she okay? And then I will help dispose of that person, that body.
Yeah. No.
Dead body sisters.
I might have sort of peed my pants making that laughing so hard.
We went all out. I put war paint on my face. I showed up with tools when she called. I mean, I came running, ready to go.
Best part of this was her walking out onto her front porch with a shovel, a saw, covered in black paint, and her neighbor walks by.
I get all in when it comes to themes. And so when we had this idea, now, I think it's important that, like, I've said this a few times at parties. I was like, yeah, everyone needs a dead body sister. I realize there is no context to that
There
phrase.
really isn't. And also, we're not admitting to any crime. This is a theoretical.
This would be like on like criminal cases on TV.
Right? It's like, but here's the podcast where she admits that she's the person that helps her move bodies.
Did you or did you not, Miss Shannon McClintock, say on January 20th, 2026 that you would?
That Jane showed up on your front porch with a shovel and a saw.
I don't recall.
Plead the fifth.
Dead Body Sister
They're
Club.
like, that's okay. We have you admitting it on microphone.
No, but I think it's just so important. So, I mean, when my husband and I get in an argument, there's a lot of debate about this, that people say that you should never air out your arguments with your spouse to a friend because the judgment that they will have will always be far greater than your forgivingness towards your spouse. I think there's truth there. But also, if you have a root system, I also think there's truth there that we can also know that you're in an argument with your significant other and you're going to get through it one way or another. And I'm going to be there and I'm not going to judge and I'm not going to look away and I'm not going to hold that grudge towards that person. It's more of I will be that support system. And so I think also people are afraid in friendships to really be vulnerable.
Absolutely.
Because of the judgment.
And I think as far as who you show up and talk to about your spouse, I think it is using your judgment, right? Like you might have that friend that's like, divorce. And then you have that friend like me that's like, okay, have you thought of it this way? Have you thought of it this way? Like, and I'll show up and be like, do you want to be helped? Do you want to be heard? But if I see you really going down crazy train lane, then I'm going to be like, okay, pull back a little bit.
Well, I'm laughing because I think this was yesterday, I called Shannon and I was all fired up and she heard me. And quite quickly, I was like, just send me the bill. Because the therapy session worked. And I was like, dang it.
After she told me that what she really wanted was just for me to rage with her. And I didn't.
I had no footing to stand on with my arguments anymore because Shannon lawyered the crap out of me and was like, nope, next, nope, no, objection.
Sustained.
And then all of a sudden, right, you have the point, you're like, all right, I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah. But it is, right? It is having that person that. And this is without a doubt, one of my favorite things for the listener hearing this. In your relationships, when things get hard, do you look away?
Do you think that's a reason why there's a lot of divorces?
Well, absolutely. I think there's a reason why there's a lot of divorces in friendships and in marriages. I don't think it's one or the other.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe that we have built a society that, like, when it's good, when the when the hay shines, like get the hay while the hay shines.
I went to like popping bottles of champagne. When it's good, you celebrate.
But it is, right? It's like when it's good, it's good. But then when somebody has real feelings or they have real problems or it gets ugly, it gets into a category that we're like, oh no, this is not what I signed up for.
Oh, yeah.
You know, in a marriage, there is a very specific reason why it's for better or worse. And, you know, you and I will do a totally separate topic about rent versus own, because that is its own topic. But it struck me really hard. Our therapist, Chrissy, was the first one that ever did that. And it was actually during a ketamine session where, I mean, I was losing it, man. It was like the ugliest cry that you could possibly do. And she said, I see it and I'm not looking away. And it struck. And you and I have used
what a
that,
line.
I don't know how many times. And so for those of you who are listening, being like, wow, that must be really great. Wow, good for them. I will ask you the challenging question of, in your relationships, when things get hard, do you look away?
There was a friend of ours and she was going through some things. And the first thing I said was, I love you. I see you and I'm not leaving you. And I think it was important to say because there was so much turmoil going on all around her. And I wasn't going to be a part of that. It was, I'm going to stand outside of the hurricane and I'm going to be there. I'm not jumping in. I'm not getting a part of the drama, but I want you to know I'm not going to leave you. And I think we've talked about growing up, we change far too often. But as we get older, we start to become more set in who we are, what we agree, disagree, love, hate, etc. And are you willing to continue to be that support system for that person where they're no longer a leaf, they're a branch? And if you're not looking away, if you're not leaving them, what's the ripple effect that could happen for that person? Could that branch then turn into a root?
And being very clear with yourself that a root doesn't happen by accident. A root doesn't happen because you met somebody and you're kindred spirits. Because just like a marriage, one or both of you is going to show up not good from time to time. Like, I don't ever want to pose the idea that Jane and I's relationship is all hunky-dory. It's not.
We had a little disagreement over the weekend.
Yeah, exactly. But what we do is as soon as it is there, we air it. We don't let it fester. And I think that that's one of the things is not having the trust in your relationship that it will weather a storm, right? Because think about it. Like if they are a leaf and there's a big storm, it's gone. right?
Oh, yeah.
But if you trust that, like, okay, you know what? This is new in a relationship or it's new in a friendship, but I do want to see, like, is this person a leaf? Because better for me to know earlier than later, right? Is like, okay, I didn't like how so-and-so happened. And we've said it in a previous podcast, but the main way that Jane and I air things to each other is the Brene Brown technique of the story in my head. So the story in my head is that this and this happened, and this is how you dealt with it. This is what you're feeling. And then we clear it, right? But we do not let it set.
No. Remember, episode 6, we said that 90% of every situation is actually not happening in that moment. It's all of the outside influence that is creating that moment in time. So airing it all out, I think, is imperative. I learned it takes 2, right? Going in a parallel line in a relationship, and it takes 1 to change it. So if someone is deciding to rise, right, raise up the expectations, the bar, the growth, etc., the person in the relationship can either say no, and eventually that relationship will fall away, or they can say, yeah, I'm in, and they'll raise up, and then they'll go on this new trajectory. And Shannon and I, over 3 years, we keep raising the standards of friendship growth, evolving into what's next. And I think that's also really critical to say to people is we're always growing and we're always expanding. And if you choose not to grow or expand, then we're dying. And so you have to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, am I dying? Am I surviving? Or am I thriving? And when you can look at yourself and acknowledge wherever you are in your life with one of those 3, then at least you have a starting off point. And now where are you going to go from there? You got real quiet.
No, I'm just listening. It's great. It is. And I think that's also why friendships change and why friendships, but I think if we actually took things less personally of that, like if, like, let's say that you grow and a person that you thought was special to you decides not to grow, that doesn't mean anything about you. It doesn't mean anything about them. It just means that you two are changing at different velocities and that it was in your life for a reason. If they were a leaf, they provided shade, they provided comfort, they did something, they were in your life for a reason.
Right.
But then trusting that the people, so what I would encourage is look at the relationships that you have, almost like in a rating system, right? Like 1, do these people actually know me? Do they know my interest, right? Like, like if you don't know the type of books that I like to read, we're not that close, just full honesty, right? So, but it's looking at, okay, who in my life do I have a relationship that I want to actually foster, right? One of those people that I want to become better. And they may not be a very good friend right now, but it might be that you clocked something in them that you're like, okay, they could be one of those bridge expanders. And then say, do they know me at all? Have I actually been showing up as myself? Because they're not going to be able to expand anything if they don't actually know who you are. And then, like Jane said, have a really tough conversation with yourself of, are you actually showing up? Are you actually putting effort? Are you actually sticking to your word of if you say you're going to do a play date, be on time. Like, there are things that you can do that automatically set people that it's a reliable, like, we build trust in lots of ways, right? Like Brene Brown with the marble jar. You've heard her talk about that, right?
Loved
like
it.
that essentially, like, the marble jar, she calls them marble jar friends. And they're the people that, like, every time that they do something that is like trustworthy or they stick up for you or things like that, it is putting a marble in the jar. Trust is created in so many ways. And yet we come up with so many excuses. And this is even a bigger topic of that your belief system is actually going to determine what actions you take, right? It might be that you don't feel worthy of the friendship that could be built. So then you self-sabotage it. But step 1 is awareness.
Yeah, I think my biggest word this year is discipline, right? Have the discipline that when you say you're going to
sound very fun.
No, but when you say you're like, I'm committing today, like we're going to go on a play date. My discipline is my word said yes, I'm showing up.
Well, that's integrity for me.
Yeah. But the discipline to make sure that you are doing what you say you're going to do, right? New Year's resolutions. So many people say, I'm going to wake up early. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to do all these things. And my husband goes really early to the gym and he said it was packed the first week. And I go, how is it? And now every morning he goes, empty. Right. And so do you have the discipline to still show up when you say you will? And that in turn is with friendships, right? I'm going to continue to have the discipline to always make sure that I'm showing up as my most authentic self for Shannon. And when we are going to do a podcast, we're going to host something. And if I say I'll be there, come hell or high water, unless the house is burning down, I will be there. Yeah. Integrity and discipline. I think those are great words.
Yeah. So do that audit, see, and also just give yourself credit that adult friendships is hard and it takes effort. So it's finding the people that are worth putting effort into.
I hope that we are having people comment, whether, through YouTube or through Spotify or Apple, on if any of this resonates for them, where they see themselves. Are they showing up? Is this the boot or the kick in the pants that they needed to reach out to those root systems or those branches they want to be roots? Life is beautiful when you have the people in your corner to do life with,
Who are not looking away.
not leaving you. I will also stalk Shannon until the day I die.
It's like the Sandlot forever.
Thank you for listening today. We hope you enjoyed our episode 7 about the Dead Body Sister Club and friendships and how to expand yourself. If you like, please comment, subscribe, follow, share. Obviously, all of these things help us grow. And
Ooh, share this with somebody that you want to build a better friendship with.
Spicy.
There we go.
Well played. Well played. Thank you for listening.
Bye, guys. All right. Thanks for hanging out with us in the messy middle. If this episode made you feel seen, laugh a little, or think, wow, it's not just me, then you are exactly who this space is for.
And if you want to keep these conversations going, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And if you know another woman who's navigating hormones, motherhood, or just the general chaos of being human, send this her way.
And remember, we listen, we don't judge. And you don't have to have it all figured out to belong here. We'll see you next time.